Let's cross quickly now to Chicago in the United States, speak to Mohamed Okda. He's the Director of Insight into Crisis. Good to have you with us. So these agreements with the UAE and Bahrain, does that essentially mean that the fight by the Palestinian people for their own independent state has been superseded by Gulf nations' fears for their own security, particularly with regard to Iran?
100%, but it's more or less like a campaign support for President Trump re-election. Definitely the Gulf state fear Iran right now, and the emergence of Iran as a threatening power in the Gulf region. But this is more or less a support for President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu politically. If we heard the word that was coming from President Trump and from Prime Minister Netanyahu, it sounded more like a campaign rally than a peace agreement or a peace accord speech. And the notes that come from both foreign ministers of Bahrain and UAE, it was full of lies and deception. Vis-a-vis Iran, UAE has a great trade relation with Iran, and they have their own accords with Iran. So I doubt this is all about Iran. It is more about local politics here in the U.S., about security arrangement between the UAE in particular and Israel, about technology transfer, and about trade. And of course, is a complete betrayal to the Palestinian people.
Well, President Trump has said that he has been traveling through the Middle East. He's spoken to 54 Arab leaders. He seems fairly confident that other nations are going to follow the example of the UAE and Bahrain. Do you see other Arab states signing up?
For sure. I mean, Prime Minister Netanyahu visited the late Sultan of Qaboos of Oman last year before he passed away, and I can see Oman signing a peace agreement soon. I can see Sudan doing the same thing, and for sure Mohammed bin Salman is going to sign a peace agreement within months of him coming to the throne after the passing of King Salman, whenever that happens.
Mohamed Okda, thank you very much indeed for joining us.